So what Giannis did was just say, instead of like focusing on the numbers, the outcome, he said, "Well, wait a minute. First of all, you're not somebody that can determine, whether I am successful or not." So the opposite would be somebody who was like, "You know what? Look, Leo, man, if you were there, you would have known like this is why I'm a failure." Allowing somebody like a reporter or the media to portray or be the ones to influence your gauge on your success or your failure.
Yeah, that's
So to
interesting.
me, like that is a scary reality right now because we have a lot of that going on, in terms of people being influenced by other people, be engaged on what success and what failure is.
I'ma be who I gotta be. I ain't living in your fantasy. I'll be real if it's the death of me. I'ma be who I gotta be. And I don't care who you pretend to be. Cause I'll be real if it's the death of me. Yeah. Liars are liars, they burning in fire, stripping this.
Boy, Giannis.
This season is a failure.
Oh my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay. Do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, I don't know, provide a house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure. That's what you're telling me. No, I'm answering your question. Yes or no?
All
right,
Why you ask me that question?
So we're just gonna stop it right there. But let's talk about it. Because I saw this at first and I was
Did
like,
you guys watch? Go ahead, Leo. You first. You saw this at first, and then what?
Yeah, I saw this at first and I was like, I think he's right. I think he's right in the normal sense of like how everyday people look at their lives, they would think the exact same thing. And I think that as a professional too, we should probably also think like the exact same thing. But what's happening with him is that like the only way that and this is like the LeBron and Michael conversation, all that, is the only way that you're successful is if you have a ring on your finger.
Yeah. I think it's different, right? Because we obviously measure success of athletes based on championships and their accolades, right? Like only one team can win. There's been so many great players that we've seen in multiple sports who've never won a championship, and a lot of it could be timing, right? It sucks. Like Reggie Miller, right? Charles Barkley. Like Reggie Miller always had to run into Michael Jordan, and the one year that he probably had the best chance to win, Malice at the Palace happened. So it's like, it stinks. Like I agree with Giannis. Like, is Reggie Miller an unsuccessful basketball player? No, he's still a Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah.
Same thing with Charles Barkley. Like only one team can win, and there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah, I think part of.
But like, do you guys watch Ted Lasso at all?
Oh, a little bit, yeah. I'm not caught up on anything ever.
I was gonna say like, I've watched the first 2 seasons, but like Ted Lasso gives like great speeches, and I feel like Giannis's speech is like a Ted Lasso speech. It's like I wonder, he has to be a fan of Ted Lasso. But
it's crucial though. Yeah, and I first of all, I think it was a word alone for him to recognize the fact that he asked him that last year and remember that. I'm like, whoa. If I was Eric, man, he said, "You asked me this last year, Eric. It was a bad question then. It was and he didn't say it, but it was a bad. If it was a bad question then it's a bad question now, So it's probably some things that he was thinking about, but like that's so true though, in terms of like day to day and like just gauging our success in general. And like it's important. I feel like it's important to keep in mind how we gauge our success, because maybe there's people out there who probably, like y'all said, feel like a failure because they haven't made this purchase yet, or feel like a failure because they haven't, accomplished something yet. But like the truth of the matter is, like, every step that you take is just like is you getting closer to reaching those goals, which makes you successful. Like failure is like if you give up. I don't understand how people say they failed, like if they haven't quit.
Also, I think there's a myth like I think there's a lot of people out there who join the workforce and they expect a yearly promotion, or like, and it's like their job is a failure if they don't get promoted at the end of the year. Some people actually do think about that, and I don't think that's necessarily. I mean, it's a goal you're working towards, right? But if you don't get it in a year, like you have, it's there's steps to it, just like he said.
So I think I get why it may be a difference between the two. I think I get it, and I think the difference between the two trains of thought here is the expectation. For example, there's an expectation that Giannis would end up in the finals at the very least, or he was a 1 seed. So like you're expected to possibly win it. So the expectation is there when Giannis is going in on like, yo, I'm an NBA player doing better than anyone is probably expecting me to, and I'm trying my best every single time I hop on the court. His expectation is to play his best. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he wants to win, but his expectation isn't like, yo, I'm not going to win a championship every single year I'm in the league. To get to the 1 seed is probably like a big feat,
Yeah, so but I think every player though, I think every player goes into the season thinking that they're going to win the championship. You have to. You need a level of confidence.
No, I don't think so.
If you go in thinking, you think that's I mean, some player. If you're in a trash team, like if you're on the Rockets, you're not winning. We all know it. But if you're Giannis, you just can't inject doubt into your mind. You have to be confident. You have to think you're the best player on the court every night.
There's a difference between being the best player in the court and saying I'm gonna win every year. And this is what I'm talking about. The expectation is like
true. I think, but don't you think every team's expectation is to go to the championship? I mean, some teams are more realistic based on what the current state of the team is. But if you are a contender, you're telling me that you go in the locker room of the Bucks and they're thinking like, you know what, let's just get to the playoffs this year. No. You're going into the Suns locker room and they're saying the same thing. Let's just get to the playoffs this year. You're going into the Lakers. Like,
do we say that teams, about the Bulls like and the Hornets though, and the Hawks?
But did you not? You missed my comment though. I said that it depends on the current state of the team. Their teams have to be realistic, right?
Right.
Like that's why I said the Rockets, they're nowhere near the championship. But if you are a contending level team, like your expectation, you set the expectation for the season. Not every team is going to walk in and be like, "We're going to win the chip," but there's a lot of teams that are closer that should be there.
Nope, I still think it's different. So I still am gonna disagree here and say that the expectation, like, I probably bet you 100% expectation is like the probability, and I think that's a key word, probability of me making the playoffs. I expect to be in the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo is like, I expect no less than being in the playoffs. I expect no less than be the top 3 in the East. I expect this, I don't think that there's an expectation on winning the championship unless you were like the Warriors a couple years ago. It's like, yo, no one can compete with me. So like, I'm literally expecting.
It's not expectation though, but it's a goal.
Correct. And that's what I'm saying. And I think that's the difference is the expectations aside from like the goal and what's possible. Expectations and what's possible are two totally different things. Although I may know what's possible.
I don't think teams. Yeah, but I don't think teams are setting like they're setting goals. It's the media setting expectations.
So that's the difference between fans and actual, the organization.
Yeah.
Yep. So I did fans. See that like people talked about his numbers and free throw percentages or something like that. But those are expectations that they have on him as a fan or on the team as a fan versus, like you said, his goal may just be, I made it to the NBA, or like something simple. I got up today. I did my best, so definitely the key there is the difference between those two, the goal and the expectation, because the expectation for organization, like that versus like a fan base's expectation is way different, plus you got those ones who like expecting you. Oh, I need a ring ASAP. You know what I'm saying?
No. And I think you're missing my point, Leo, is like, every team in the locker room, like everyone in the locker room sets their goal to win. Everyone sets their goal to be the best player. The media and the fans, they obviously they let their emotions get in the way, and like everyone expects championships if you have talent.
Yeah.
Like, what we see is
it sounded like what you
we're
said
not
was.
with it.
It sounded like what you said was that the team's expectation was to win because they can't let any doubt get in their mind.
Not expectation, but it's like a goal. Like if you walk onto the court and think that you're not good, you're not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, right? Like you need a level of confidence. You need to carry a level of confidence. Otherwise, who's going to believe in you? You're not going to believe in yourself.
I agree with that. So even think about. So I guess what are you trying to say with that though? So you're saying that every team in the locker room has to think that they're winning the championship as part of their goal in order to win the championship?
No, I think you're honing too much into this championship thing. It's more of a mentality thing, right? Every single time you step on the court, you think you're going to win, and you're going to do everything in your power to win, because otherwise, why are you playing? Why are you doing anything? Same thing with work. Every time you step on the, like, it's just with anything that you do, you need to have confidence. You need to have intention. You need to you need to buy in, right?
Yeah.
And so you cannot tell me that there's not one team in any sports league that is walking into any match thinking that they're not going to try to win. Like that's their goal, right? They're going to do everything they can to win. You can't tell me that there's one team that doesn't go into a mentality of that. Is there a sports team that's walking into a match thinking I'm going to
think so. I think so. Granted,
if they're tanking, if they're rewarded.
No. I think that, like, even with how big the Eagles are, you gotta think about this. Like Dylan Brooks is expected to lose against LeBron James, and that's why he has the other tactics. Draymond Green is like, hey, this is the edge that we need in order to win. Because if I go toe to toe to this player, I may not be as good as them.
Who set these expectations, though?
What?
You said Dylan Brooks is expected to lose against LeBron James. Who's setting the expectation?
Dylan Brooks in his head. This is my point. Is that
you think Dylan Brooks in his head?
Yes. Not every athlete's like, hey, whoever I step toe to toe against, I'm better than him. People are realistic enough to know, like, yo, this person's better. You see NBA players, especially talking about it right now, like, yo, it's impossible. I almost died guarding Steph. Who said that? He's like, I almost died. Who talks about that if you think you're better than somebody?
De'Aaron Fox, yeah.
Yeah. So, like,
I think you're taking that out of context. I think you're taking that way out of context. It's because Steph runs like you can have fear of someone and understand that someone is worse than you, but like it doesn't mean you back down.
I'm not. Yeah, but we're not talking about backing down. We're not talking about your level. Crying. We're not talking about your level of play. What we're talking about is the expectation in your mind, and then the goal that you set in your mind, which are two different things. So, for example, on my goals list, I have the goal of making $1 million. Sure, I'm going to do everything in my power to make $1 million, but my expectation isn't necessarily to hit every single one of my goals. A goal for the Bucks this year, I'm sure on their goals list is to win a championship. I'm sure LeBron has every single year that, he wants to be the MVP of the league.
I'm lost, man. I think your points are. I think you're weaving back. I don't know. I think you're. So
let's go back.
We're just missing the point of this conversation.
Let's go back to Giannis then. Let's go back to Giannis and G.
Yeah. So the root of it was the fans. Yeah, the fans are pretty much saying, or that one particular fan, Eric, by the way.
Got his name.
Reporter.
Yeah, got his name. And I was thinking about that. I wonder they probably have their like name title sitting in front of them when I was like, dang, he remember his name? No, but yeah. So he essentially said, like, the way that he asked the question, he asked it in a way that kind of stated that he's a failure, right? Or did I misinterpret that?
Nope, you're right.
No, I agree with that. It's because the media, everyone else. It's what is the bar for success in the NBA, right? And everyone puts that bar of success as winning a championship,
right?
And so and they didn't meet that. And Giannis's counter to that is that's not all the success is.
But that's what we were just talking about, Kenny. According to you, success is also winning a championship. That's the expectation. That is also the goal. That's what you said is he's the number one seed. He's supposed to win. That is what Giannis should go in thinking that he's going to win every game, right? That's his expectation.
You're honing too much in on the word expectation. Like, and you're like, I don't even know how to. Okay, I'm like heated because I don't even know how to describe this to you because I think you're completely misunderstanding me, and I think I'm misunderstanding you, which is why I'm trying to let's just blow past this because we're talking in circles. Because you keep going back to this point of expectation, like
because that is
in
the whole
Giannis's
point.
mind, I think. But expectation is one thing, right? You said expectation of how things are going to go, right? You obviously everyone has a goal. Goals and expectations are completely different things because not everything is going to go to plan.
Yeah. And one thing that I also want to take away from this is like
like one
that
thing's a
with
belief and one thing
everybody.
is like. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm just heated.
No, yeah, you're good. Yeah, like the important thing though is that like according to him, let's just take Eric for example. Let's say he actually did meet his expectation. Or let's say they actually
Well,
won.
what is expectation? Let's define it. What is expectation and what's a goal?
Yeah.
Expectation
As
is
a
something.
individual or organization?
Expectation is something that you have.
Expectation is a strong belief that something will happen.
Will happen. Yes, exactly.
Right?
Go ahead, Kenny.
It's a belief.
Yeah.
The goal is ambition or effort. So shouldn't you
Hang on,
go
let's
in with
paint that out one more
shouldn't-
time. Expectation.
Expectation is the belief that something will happen.
The belief that something will happen, and then a goal
is your effort to get there.
Okay.
So should you not go in with the belief that you're going to win a game?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Are you going to go in believing that you're going to win a game? See, now do you see what I'm saying? I think you're misconstruing what expectation is in your head, like for the sake of this argument. So the way I'm thinking about it is
no.
Expectation is a belief.
Right, but you have to finish the rest of the definition. And the difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying.
The belief that something will happen.
Yes, and the difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying is expectation is the belief that something will happen, and then a goal is a belief that something could happen.
No, I don't think that's the difference for me. Is for me the goal isn't necessarily a belief. A goal it's an object of your ambition or effort. It's an aim. It's a desired result, right?
Right, but you can't aim at something that you don't believe you'll hit.
This goes back to setting goals for ourselves, like in the previous thing, right?
You're
you
correct.
Set far off goals,
but you believe that you can hit it.
Like you're kind of, but you kind of have to set wacky goals, though. You kind of have to contradict yourself. You have to have something to aim for.
Yes, something that you strive towards, that you still believe that it's possible to hit. The Hornets probably did not have on their goal to win a championship this year. I did not have a goal to make it into the NBA this year.
Yeah, Giannis had it as a goal to win a championship this year.
Correct. Not an expectation.
And I mean,
this is Giannis's words. Giannis said he wasn't a failure. His goal was to win a championship.
Yeah,
his expectation was not.
I don't think he was a failure.
He exactly, and he doesn't either.
Yeah, but my question is like, see, this is why I don't know. You're honing too much into my minutia point, but I think the end of the story is yes, expectations and goals are different, and if we're talking about in terms of sports, it's the media and the fans and all these storylines that are created put too much of an pressure on franchises to win.
Yeah,
like because they expect these teams to win. You expect a 1 seed to win. You expect Purdue not to get upset by 16.
Yeah,
like you expect all these.
That's
things.
correct. And Giannis's point is like my expectation, your expectation, my goals, your goals may look a little bit different. But yeah, no.
And that's the thing. It's like it's the people cast their expectation onto other things.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can't cast you can't cast your expectation for someone onto them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what I wanted to what I was wanted to emphasize was like, I guess the athlete's ability to be able to differentiate, because what if, or there actually is some athletes who feel like failures because of the expectation that the media has on them, so I feel like it was just like a kudos moment to him to be able to paint that out and say, hey, here's what aligns with you, but here's my alignment, and here's what I'm thinking about. Here's what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
Here's what I was. Mm-hmm.
No, sorry to cut you off. I just think
Oh
I
yeah, I
think
mean like that's really important though, and like you can plug and play that in any aspect because people are gonna have different expectations on you
mhm.
versus what yours are, and like yeah, I mean hopefully everybody can differentiate and actually know what their success and failure is, and they're gauging it off the right metrics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if
Mhm.
if I'm outside looking in, I'm like, Kenny, I feel like you could be doing a lot more, taking on a lot more projects, man. You know, imagine Kenny be like, damn, you know what, Los is right, man. Let me think about that, and like
Yeah.
actually starts to take a toll on you, or you actually feel like you aren't performing well, or something like that.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it adds pressure, especially if you think about it from the sports world. Like you hear the same thing over and over. Oh, this is a championship contending team. Oh, you expect these people to win, but like you can't block out that noise forever.
mm-mm,
Hmm.
true.
And Giannis, like it had to be said, like not every team that doesn't make it
It's a failure. Yeah.
is a failure. They fail in some sense, right? Like they
Yeah.
probably don't meet some of their goals or expectations, but
So
like
how would you frame that then, like from a regular person's perspective or an NBA perspective? Like, no, you didn't hit your goal. Is that chalked up as a loss, as a failure? Like, how do you
it,
how do
I
you
think it
frame that in your
depends.
mind?
It depends. I think. Well, I think it's really contextual. But in like a really generic case, if you don't hit your goals, yes, it's a failure. But why? Like, what did you learn something along the way? Like, did you progress? Right? It's a failure in the sense of the word failure. You didn't. You set a goal. You didn't meet it. You failed.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
no way
Mm,
around it. There's no
Yep.
participation trophy. You
Yep.
failed.
right.
But but just because you failed something doesn't. It's not the end of the world. Like
Yeah.
right? It's just
Exactly, and that's what I was concerned about. That was a good way to paint it out. By definition, they failed, but like
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know, you had this small hiccup here, but you could fail forward. Like okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can move the needle some. Maybe just
Yeah.
move it, push the date back something like that, to where overall you failed that particular, let's call it mini project, but you still made leaps and bounds in terms of development, salary, whatever, so that's a good way to paint that out, Ken. Is like technically by definition, yeah, you set a goal, here was your deadline, you didn't make it, that's a
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah.
Does that make you a failure though, is
You are
like
not a
the
failure.
what
Yeah.
should be highlighted.
No,
Yeah,
it's how you respond to failure that makes you a failure.
yeah,
Every failure is an opportunity, right? It's an
yeah,
opportunity to learn or it's an opportunity to fail again. But
yeah.
if you fail fast and learn from
hmm
it.
And I don't see
So
how anybody could say, and that's a different subject, but anybody could call themselves a failure if they still got breath in their bodies.
Yeah,
hmm,
and I think that's my opinion as well. If you're not trying, like I think you're a failure. But
Yeah.
if you're constantly trying and you're putting effort in, how can you say you're failing? How can anyone call you
Mm,
a failure?
oof. It's probably the
so
same thing, but I would say you are failing, but I don't feel like I could call someone a failure who still has opportunity.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what would y'all say
Maybe that's me trying
to
to cherish
somebody
everyone.
here? Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I wasn't even gonna go there. I wasn't even gonna go there, but that's what I'm hearing. What would y'all say to the person who would have the opposite answer of Giannis, who is like probably a perfectionist in their life? Like yo, like nah, I bombed this one. 1 seed, lost to A.C.E. I play like trash, like just completely self-deprecating. Like what would you tell that person in a situation where like maybe you should have been able to win the championship, or you should have been able to get past this round, or you should have been able to
I'm gonna
do
let
that interview a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Kenny take that because my thoughts are gonna derail it from the sports talk.
Wait, are you talking about kind of reframe your question? You're talking about if
So
someone
he's
in Giannis' position had a different take on it, or are you talking about someone who is putting that expectation on Giannis, telling him he's a failure?
Giannis' position.
Okay, so like someone in that position who has the
Mm-hmm.
opposite, who is
Who
self-deprecating,
has
who
to
thinks they're a
mentally deal
failure.
with it themselves? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you can look at like think about all of the March Madness athletes that deal with
Mm-hmm.
that after they lose. Uh, and it's tough. And I think you have to paint the picture, in my opinion, of kind of what Giannis did to them. Basically, you have to tell them this, like, you can't be soft about it. Like, you
Yeah.
lost, right? You didn't get the result that you wanted. It happens, but it's the same thing as my message previously. It's how you respond to it. How are you going to get better? How are you going to prevent this from happening again? Like, what are you going to do?
Well,
But like, you can't. No one in that moment, like, you lost, right?
Yeah.
Like, nothing you say is going to comfort you.
You lost.
Nothing that anyone says is going to be of comfort.
But would the opposite of that be somebody that said, you know what, you're right, I did fail, but here's why? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Is like
So-
the opposite of that is somebody who's like, yeah, I completely fumbled the bag here. I choked.
Yeah.
I should have definitely. I've been in
So
that
what?
position.
Yeah, what Giannis? Yeah. So what Giannis did was just say, instead of like focusing on the numbers, the outcome, he said, "Oh, wait a minute. First of all, you're not somebody that can determine, you know, whether I am successful or not." So the opposite would be somebody who was like, you know what? Look, Leo, man, if you were there, you would have known, like, this is why I'm a failure. You know, allowing somebody like a reporter or the media to portray or be the ones to influence your gauge on your success or your failure.
Yeah.
So to me, like, that is a scary reality right now, because we have a lot of that going on, you know, in terms of people being influenced by other people, be engaged on what success and what failure is.
Yeah.
So like,
I feel like way more people live on that side.
I think
that's why the story is so big, is because Giannis did something that people normally don't do.
Yeah. And it's just, Giannis is grounded and he understands the bigger picture. He understands what success is for
the bigger
him.
picture.
Like, he knows his scale of success. Like, other people, if you compare it in the professional sense, you can't compare your journey with someone else's. You can't compare your success to someone else. Like, things could be different. You have to know what success is for you, for your role, right? And part of that is outlining that with your manager. Like, you should know, like, in someone's role in a professional sense, like, you should know what success means for this role.
Yeah.
You should know what outcomes need to happen. You should know what, like, you're working towards, and you should know, like, what it means to be successful. If you don't, like, you need to describe it, because then how are you working?
All right, who y'all got to win the win the championships and stuff like that? Sorry, take a hard left here unless y'all got something else to say. Who y'all got picks wise?
No, I thought the Celtics were going to take it, but their coaching is not. Joe Mazzulla isn't doing it, man. I think Celtics. They have the talent. I just don't think they have the strategy.
That's one team that hasn't come to mind at all, and I don't really like their team.
I think they're the best team if they can get things together, but I'm not saying that they're going to win it all. I said I want them to, but I don't think they got it. I think their coaching is too inexperienced.
Wow.
You let Trae Young go off because you put in the bad lineup. Like, if you don't close the game with Derek White, your third best player, percentage wise and plus minus wise, why are you like? And again, like, we're just armchair analysts, but
why they have to do that to Derek White though? That's bogus.
Yeah. Well, they benched him, and then same thing with Brogdon. Like, two players who I think should have closed the game, game 5. If they close with Brogdon, White, Brown, Tatum, and Williams, I think they win. I don't think, because on the Hawks, Trae Young shot the ball every single time for 5 minutes. Like, he was the only person doing anything. But I digress.
So I'm gonna put this out there that I actually I made it a good guess that Miami would upset Milwaukee. I have a clip on another podcast. I need to make some magic and put it on here or something like that. But shout out to Heat and Soul podcast. But I made that prediction before game 1 started that Miami would upset the Bucks. So I'm not saying they're gonna win the championship. I think even though the Warriors have struggled, I can't pick against them. But I really want to see LeBron, and he's been doing it. I think that LeBron might be in the mode on, like, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to win. So I'm assuming it's going to be the Warriors, because I don't know if LeBron can beat
winning the whole thing.
Yeah, because AD has to be there. has to be there, and he's not.
He showed up last game when they lost.
Yeah, LeBron didn't show up because he gave everything he had the game before. He can't go back to back like he used to.
I mean, Austin Reeves has been showing up, man. That dude's a baller.
That's true.
No,
Galata, you got any picks?
They're definitely beating the Grizz.
I got none, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I haven't followed for a while.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Baseball?
I know you're not that into it.
I haven't been big in sports in a while, man.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Leo, I don't think there's a clear cut. I just don't think there's a clear cut champion.
I think that this is like one of the most exciting years because there's so many people who could win it. Like for the first time ever.
The parity, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm seeing a lot more controversy right now too than normal. Is that just me?
Drama, lots of drama.
There's a lot of injuries right now too. Yeah. I think it'll be. I want it to be Warriors Celtics again. I think that's what it might end up being, but I don't know who's going to win. I can tell you who I think is going to win.
I think Jimmy Butler can beat the Celtics. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Jimmy Butler alone.
It's going to be the Heat Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay. Not the Hawks.
Yeah, I think it'll be. No, Hawks are going to lose. I think it'll probably be Warriors Suns in the Western Finals.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Hey, can you remember that one time where you shut down the whole Atlanta Hawks stadium in the NBA because you went to a Hawks game? Went to a Hawks game, the whole NBA shut down.
Dude, the next week, everything, not even the NBA, everything.
The next day, yeah. The whole world shut down. That's hilarious.
The whole world.
We were in Atlanta during COVID.
Yeah. Went to a Hawks game. Next day, hey, we shutting everything down. The entire world. Dang, Kenny got that kind of power.
It was crazy.
All right, y'all. Any parting words before I let y'all go?
Man, where does the time go?
Yeah, I know. I swear, every single time. Yeah.
I guess the MO for this podcast is just don't be afraid to fail. Get back up.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't let other people decide.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Exactly. Don't let other people define what success and failure is to you.
Yeah. I think that is a key takeaway from the whole podcast today. Don't let other people determine your success or your failure. Make sure you got your own path, your own goals, and make sure you're living for yourself. Because, at the end of the day, it ain't like we're going to make it out of here alive, man.
True.
Live for yourself.
But be realistic.
It's not a positive way to look at anything, O'Leary. Not going to make it out of here alive.
Sometimes you got to kill it. Sometimes you got to kill it with realism, man. Some people are, living as if tomorrow's promised. I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to get there one day.
Yeah, right.
Do it now, man.
Do it now.
All right. Live for yourself. Y'all. Be happy now, today.
Yes. Thank you. And like we always say, pursue excellence and cherish everyone. Peace.
Wait. All right, you just enjoyed that episode. I know it because you've made it to this point. If you wouldn't do me and the fellas a favor, while you're joining us at our dinner table, you're having food, maybe you're on a run, wherever you're listening to the episode, please take the time, 1 second, hit like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.